So, what you're thinking is a podcast dedicated to empowering individuals to stand up against wrongdoing and champion ethical behavior through personal experiences and practical problem-solving techniques. We tackle challenging topics with honesty and insight, welcoming all perspectives, regardless of race, age, political views, or belief. Lately, there's been a few conversations where relationships come up, intimate relationships, male, female, and whatever, just intimacy relationships. And so somebody said, Emily, we're going to do, when are you going to interview me? And I said, all right, you pick a topic and we'll, get it done. And he said, okay, relationships. And I was like, oh no. Like, male, female relationships. And I said, I don't normally do relationships. I don't talk about intimate relationships. I try to stay away from those, but I do, try to equate most of my stuff to all types of relationships, which include intimate relationships. And I said, all right, let's do this. We can do this. So I said, let me go to AI. No, at first he said, yeah, this is going to be good because you're going to be emotional and I'm going to be analytical, have an analytical perspective about it. And I was like, I'm going to be emotional. I said, all right, I'm going to put into AI and see what questions they could come up with. And I said, you could change them or I could change the questions, but just to give us a start of, how to get started or whatever, to ask questions if we do this. And so he was like, no, don't go to AI. Why you got to go to AI? I said, it's just to get started. And so I put in exactly what he said, and I said, when I typed it in the AI, and I said, he said that I would be emotional and he would be analytical. I said, but I base most of my stuff on, he has no idea I base most of my stuff on personalities and behaviors. And so AI came back with all these questions and I handed it to him. He was like, I'm not going to be able to answer all this. I was like, no, you could change it to the way you want to. Anyway. And then after that, there was another discussion, a whole nother group. And it was male-female relationships again. A couple of married couples and those that, like me, I was married for 30 years. I'm not married anymore. And some were married, some are not, blah, 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 blah. In some hard situations, questions or scenarios came up. And I was thinking like, I was like, that's just wrong. I couldn't even put their personality and your personality and the way you act and the way they act. I was like, I couldn't even find a way to equate that to personality and behavior. It was just like to the point point of being totally out of hand and totally disrespectful on one of the situations brought up. And I was just thinking about that and wanted to talk about that today, as far as male-female relationships. You know, a part of me look at it like the same way I do race, the same way I do political party, the same way I do finances, how somebody's finances is, and or living conditions, or just relationships in general. And try to say that it's based on how someone's personality is. Like, say for example, me, it's good to know my personality and, you know, what I like and what I don't like. And then looking at the person that I want to be in a relationship with, it's like, what makes me feel good and don't make me feel good. It's not as cut and dry as all that. Like, at one point I was like, it's real easy. A part of it really is easy. Either they making you feel good or not making you feel good. You're making them feel good or not making them feel good. You're devaluing them or they're devaluing you and only want to deal with you when it's something that benefits them. And the same thing, like, relationships are hard. Relationships are not that easy. And then that just brought me to reality after the last conversation. Like, man, it's some hard stuff. But it was so easy for like we're talking about male-female relationships, it was so easy for the male to say, you women, see you women. And then some of the women was like, see you men are this and that and that and that, you know. Yeah, relationships are hard. I mean, I wouldn't change anything. I went through whatever I went through, the good, the bad, the ugly, in one relationship for as long as I did. I had my children, which is a beautiful thing. And that's what I wanted. Children, and I did. And so I think that's another thing that plays a part into it as well. What do you want? Yeah, it's not a topic I like to talk about, because intimate relationships, when you sharing each other intimately and things of that nature, it's very, very hard. But it's the same thing across the board as far as the control and the manipulation. Like, it depends on, you know, the give and the take and the understanding one another and giving each other that respect that they need and want on both sides, you know. But if one is so sensitive, or one is real hard, like that drill sergeant type personality, demanding personality, and they won't bend at all, and they have somebody with that same personality, that can clash. Or if they have someone with that sensitive personality, that can clash as well if they're not willing to work together. I don't know. Even going through relationship therapy when we were married, like after deployments and stuff like that, we go on marriage retreats, and one of the good things was laugh your way to a healthy marriage. It was he's on the internet. He has a couple videos from way back in the day. His name is Mark, M-A-R-K Gunther. I think it was Gunther or Gungher, Gunther. And we went to a marriage retreat with him, and he was very, very funny. We did like a whole weekend, and in one of the episodes he had two brains on the stage, a man's brain and a woman's brain. And he has that on video too on YouTube, the difference between a man's brain and a woman's brain, and it's just real funny. And how, you go through those exercises of where you stand in front of each other and have one talk and then be quiet while the other one talk. Laughing in any type of relationship, even in the workplace, doing business, family, I don't care what it is, being able to laugh eases so much pain. Being able to laugh I think solve problems as well, and then it also is like a coping mechanism, is being able to laugh. Such a beautiful thing. And if the relationship is meant to be, laughing can beat a lot of stuff. Anyway, I'm just running my mouth thinking about relationships, and that's something I do not know anything about. But I wanted to just talk about that a minute. Anyway, have a good day. Peace.